created this program, one, because we love pictures and stories about people's lives. And we've, over the course of several years, over 10 years, worked with hundreds of people, helping them with their life stories. And people asked if we had something that they could take in a form of a book. In fact, do you have a book on this that I could take with me? And we didn't really have anything to give them. And so we thought it's really time to help people by doing this and refine our thinking and put it into the steps that we followed and we've used over a number of years into a process.
Well, and we're so passionate about wanting everyone to do this because everybody has an interesting story to tell. Even people who may think, well, my life is not that interesting. I haven't had any, really dramatic things happen to me. Sometimes those are the people really with the most interesting stories. And so we really feel like this is something that everybody should do. And yet it's also really overwhelming because you don't know, where do I start? What do I tell? What do I leave out? How do I get through my boxes of pictures? It's a really overwhelming process. And so we can't be in everybody's living room helping them to do it, on their own. So that's why we came up with this process, so that we can give people a vehicle to be able to take it through and kind of coach them through the whole process step by step.
I think we also felt that it should be something more than just a book.
Yeah.
That there's a lot of books out there, and most of them focus on writing a story or a life story or different.
And a lot of them are really good, too.
Oh, yeah, some excellent books. And that's why we decided not to get that far into writing and editing, but more focus on kind of this overall view of it, but also combining the pictures and the stories and the reason how to overcome your obstacles and then really to get something done and complete something. And that it doesn't have to be this overwhelming thing, that it has to be the whole life, but to give people a sense of success and something that they can really pass on and feel success soon.
Well, first of all, it's really a step-by-step kit. It has a workbook and all of the materials that you will need to go through the whole process, and we kind of take you through step by step so that you know exactly where you're starting. And basically, if you follow all the steps in the book, you will not only have a written history, but you will have a finished book that you can actually give to someone at the end of the process.
Oh, and we've seen people that have taken years. We talked with our printer, and he said, people will come in after 20 years working on some, on their project, and they'll bring it in, and it's like it's been a life's commitment. And that's a wonderful thing, but it doesn't have to be that massive, that unique to only a few people can take the time to do that. All of us have stories to share, and many of us have pictures and images and things that could be shared and passed on if they're just combined in the right way and put in a form that can be saved and shared with others.
Well, and also I think we understand how important the visuals are to a book, too. I think a lot of people have written down their stories, and then they don't know what to do with it after that. And I think especially there's some great printing technology out there today that makes it so much easier to produce a book and to do something that looks really nice. And so pictures are very important also to make it something that's engaging and that's appealing and that people will actually want to pick up and read and not just say, oh, thanks so much, this is really nice, and then put it away on a shelf. These books will actually get read.
I think there's a wonderful trend and things that are happening today with photo books. They're great. Love photo books, and some get as far as even having you put a few captions in. And then there's the narrative type stories, where you can go to a professional and have them combine some of those together. But those are more unique. But that's really the way we live our lives, is we have these wonderful stories that we tell. We talk to each other over dinner and share with each other and pictures. And we think that they ought to be put together because that's what really is a powerful element of bringing those elements together in the form of a book. We also love videos and other things, but we feel that a book is just key. It's a primary element to save and share those rich, full stories of our lives.
Another thing that's really different about our method is that we help you not only to record and write some of the stories of your life, but really to kind of maybe do story triage, to really sort of help you find out what your most important stories are. What are your best stories of your life? Not just, I was born here, and then I lived here, and then I lived here, but really getting to the essence of who you are and what stories you want to tell. And so that's part of our process, is to help you really find what's most important in your life to share.
I think that's a really important thing, is we found that you really need to look at the big picture of your life, and to take those, and as she describes it as story triage, I think that's a good way to look at it. Take those most important things. People can work on and on and on and create this massive tome that might not be that interesting, that may be too intimidating for a reader or a grandson or a child or someone in the future to pick up. But if it's more just this refined, boiled down, I hate to say polished gem, because it doesn't have to be perfect and it doesn't have to be so polished, but something that people can pick up and get in, and that it's really you, that it's really authentic. It's your life coming through. You don't have to feel this overwhelming sense of putting it all there. It's just taking those more important elements, you say, that it's done for a purpose, and it's done for somebody, that they look forward to sharing those things with.
Yeah, and another thing too is that, we've had so many people come to us with huge loads of boxes and stacks of books and just stuff that they've inherited from their parents or their grandparents or their aunt, and they don't know what to do with it all. And that's the thing, is that when you have all this massive amounts of stuff and you don't know what it is, and so it ends up getting chucked. And so we want to encourage people to really focus in, find what's most important, put it in something small and something manageable that will be cherished and it won't be thrown away. And all of your most important memories and your most important stories, your most important pictures will be accessible and enjoyable in a place where people can get to them. And it cuts down on that overwhelm of having all this stuff that you don't know what to do with.
And I think one of the ways that we cut the overwhelm is it's just a very simple step-by-step process. You do this, and then you do this, and you do these things. You're going to have a nice book. You're going to have something that tells wonderful things about your life. You may do more later, that's just fine, but you're going to have something wonderful if you just follow this process. It'll be beautiful.
We are big book fans, obviously, because that's what we do. But that's not to say that there's anything wrong with modern technology. I have a Kindle. I love it. It's great for reading novels. I do all kinds of stuff online. I love reading people's blogs. But there's something about a book and putting your life in a physical book that people can actually pick up. First of all, a book doesn't need any kind of special equipment. It will never become obsolete. It will never have to be upgraded. It's just going to be there. And you can read it backwards if you want. You can just pick it up and browse through it and, just read the captions, or you can just look at the pictures. There's a whole different way of relating to a book. And just for archivability, that book is always going to be there. So that's one reason. And I think, blogs are great. But if you have a blog, take your best blog posts and put them in a book so that people, your great-great-grandchildren, they're probably not going to be able to find your blog and look that up and find out about you. But they'll be able to find out about you from reading a book.
And I also feel, why a book? I love a good video, and I love seeing people on video. In fact, one of the things I was in high school, I started making films with some buddies. But to go back and look at that was in 8mm, and we had to do sound, and then now I can convert that over. That technology changes, and it's always so dependent on technology. And
it takes a long time to go through that process of having to upgrade something to a newer technology. And a lot of people just don't do it. How many people have VHS, family movies that are laying around, and they don't have a player to play them on anymore? So that's another reason.
A book you can just pick up, and it's powerful, and you can start it at any point. When I say start at any point, we still feel that stories are important, that you start and flow through and it carries you somewhere. But a book, you can just open it up and there might be a caption. There might be a few words that draw you in and say, oh, I need to find out more about that. That's interesting. And that's the beauty and the wonder of a book, is it's going to be around, and it's something that you can just pick up and immediately it can draw you into it. Which I think is another interesting point about today. Books, there's never been a better time to create a book or a story of your life, because, as Alison talked about, the technology is that now you can create a book. You can create just one. Years ago, that if you wanted to create a book, you had to be very wealthy, or in order to put the narrative together.
Copies.
Then you had to make numerous copies and to put pictures in it. That was even more difficult. And now almost anyone can create a book or two or however many they want. And it's a great day to tell your life stories and to put them in a book.